Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the Signal, Leatherman's first multi-tool purpose-built for survival. Stick around. I got my first glimpse of the Signal at SHOT Show 2015, and my impression, my feeling about this tool when I first saw it was basically, it's about time. For the longest time, I've been carrying Leatherman tools or other multi-tools into the outdoors as a supplement to my outdoor survival kit. There are a lot of things you ought to have with you. I think a good multi-tool is one of those things. And I've settled for things like the Juice CS4, the Rebar, the Wave, some other things like that, which are also great multi-tools, also made by Leatherman. And there are still tons and tons of other ones from other brands. We'll definitely admit to that. But when I saw this, I thought, geez, it is about time that Leatherman came out with a purpose-built survival multi-tool. And all the features on this great tool are specifically geared to help you in either a survival or a simple camping scenario. I took this multi-tool on a recent camping trip with some Boy Scouts and found it very handy in setting up my hammock. I found some issues with the spot that I had chosen where I needed to clear some brush underneath my hammock in order to have a comfortable night's sleep without some of those bushes kind of poking me as I was laying there. The knife and the saw came in very handy on this tool in taking care of those little shrubs to make my hammock camping situation a bit more comfortable. Many of the rest of the tools could have come in handy on that trip. The pliers could have helped me deal with and alter various bits of gear that might have had problems. The fire starter right here, the ferrocerium rod, definitely could have helped me get a fire started. The sharpening tool right there definitely could have helped me maintain this tool if I felt like I needed to do that. There are lots of other capabilities that this tool offers that definitely could have helped me out in that scenario. And for that reason, I think this is an excellent tool for either camping or backpacking or those scenarios in which you may find yourself in a survival situation. So let's break this tool down and look at some of its various features as we open it up. The first thing we'll notice is the plier head, of course. It is the same plier head that you get on the Leatherman Rebar. Now, this one has the 154 cm replaceable wire cutting bits, which is a very, very nice feature. Leatherman has been putting that on a handful of their multi-tools ever since we first saw it on the Super Tool 300. It's now also on the Surge, if I'm not mistaken. So those are great plier heads. What would you use these for in a backpacking or survival scenario? Well, you might have wire and things like that that you use to help you get out of a jam or help you build something or fix something. Some of your gear might come undone, maybe a zipper, maybe something like that you need to use something like a plier head, a needle nose plier head, in order to fix that piece of gear. So having a plier with you on your as part of your kit, I think is definitely worthwhile, especially if you're going to get it in a tool like this. Moving down, we can see that as we kind of close the tool, we'll go to the sort of outside accessible tools, and what we get right here, one of the first tools you see right there, is the part serrated knife. And I suppose if they're going to have any kind of knife on here, part serrated is probably what you want. My opinion is that the non-serrated blades are much easier to resharpen. However, there's no doubt that serrations have a place and can tear through material faster than a non-serrated blade can. And I can confirm that from experience. Carving and tearing away at different types of wood and other material definitely goes faster with some serrations, so I don't mind that those serrations come on this blade. We can also see on the opposite side that we have Leatherman's famous saw, and I think they do the saw just perfectly. I love the way they do saws. The coolest thing about their saws is that they are counter-ground, so the spine up here is actually skinnier than the teeth at its widest point. If you were to measure right here, measure this dimension right here, that would be thinner than the teeth are. And that makes it so that you have less friction the deeper you cut through whatever material you're cutting, which is a very, very important thing. If the saw is not counterground, you end up getting all kinds of friction as you try to cut through that log, that piece of wood, whatever it might be, and that just turns into a big problem. So I really appreciate that Leatherman does that counter grinding, and their saws are fantastic. You can see a little discoloration on there from striking against another tool, which we'll talk about now. We might as well get to it. So we'll fold that saw back up, and right here you see the ferrocerium rod built right into the handle, but that is actually removable, and we'll show you how to do that right now. If you open this up, what you see is a whistle as well. You've got a little tab right there that's holding it all together. Push that back and then push that whistle up. It all slides out like so. Then you've got the ferrocerium rod that you can scrape some sparks off of, and you've also got a whistle that you can blow. I'll go ahead and blow that for you to demonstrate it. It's pretty good high-pitched whistle there. And it pops right back in, and that little clip holds it in place. It does rattle in there just a little bit. There's a little bit of give. I don't mind that though, as long as it doesn't shake loose, and I don't feel like it's going to. It seems like it's in there pretty well. We also see on the opposite side their sharpener, which also looks to be very, very good. Removing that is very simple. You just press down on this lock button, slide it back like so, and then it pops right off and falls on the ground and gets lost in the leaves. But there it is, a little diamond file sharpener that's going to be just right for getting some edges repaired on your knife and things like that. So that is a great addition. Having a knife, of course, is really important, but once it goes dull, it's not very useful. So having some sort of sharpener on your survival multi-tool or in your survival kit, I think is a really great addition. So we covered the saw, we covered the main blade, and let's cover a couple of the other tools that come with this one. We've got a little bit driver that holds, in this case, a Phillips. You pop that out, and you've got a flathead. And of course, this will lock into place. So we close those other tools back up. You see that locks into place, and that lock, once again, is what holds our sharpener in place, but also you depress that and it unlocks any of those tools. And then next to that bit sharpener, or that bit driver I should say, we have a couple other tools. First one is perfect. I'm so glad they included this. It looks like a punch, some sort of an awl, where you can punch through leather, punch through other materials. If you want to drill a hole, say for fire starting or something like that, you need to drill a hole into a hearth board for a spindle kit or something like that. You've got this awl that you can use rather than using up your knife blade and potentially breaking that tip. This is going to be a much stronger tip altogether. If you can look at that, it's going to be quite strong, and it is sharp enough to get that job done. So I think that's a great addition to the kit, to the multi-tool I should say. And next, we've got a can opener. Now in a pinch, that can opener could also do the awl's job, but primarily this is going to be for opening up cans of food. And I think Leatherman's can openers are fantastic. They lack nothing. They work great. We've also got a little wire stripper here, which you may or may not have a need for in the outdoors, but since it's easy to include as a part of this little tool, I'm glad it's there. Coming to this rear side of the tool, we can see that we've got a carabiner / bottle opener right there. I don't know that I'm going to have time for opening any kind of bottles in a survival scenario, but there it is. You can also use that as a hammer, which is a great addition. That is pretty much a carryover from the Leatherman Mut, and that's a really, really useful tool on a little multi-tool like this. What that enables you to do is, in a situation where you need to drive some stakes into the ground and maybe you can't find an adequate rock or something like that, you can just take the Leatherman tool in your hand like that, hammer fist it, and then pound that stake into the ground. So that is really useful. I'm really glad they included that. We also have what looks like a bit driver of sorts, where you could fit some sort of a bit in there and get a lot more torque with whatever it is you're trying to screw into place. So that's really, really nice as well. Lastly, one thing I want to point out is a really, really cool device, which, you know, you might have problems in the past with your Leatherman kind of flopping open, whether it be in your pocket or hanging off a bag or something like that, especially if you're going to carry this using the carabiner, clipping it onto your backpack. You don't want that flopping open and dangling around and, you know, catching on things. You need it to stay closed. They included a little closing tab right here. So all you got to do is slip that forward like that, and then the tool will not open. It doesn't open up. And look at that. Just a little tab that slides into that rear hammer plate. That is so cool. And just with your finger or fingernail, you press it back and you've got it opened up again. What a great feature. That's some really cool evidence of Leatherman's innovation with their tools and how they try to include far more than just the basics and what you think you're going to need. Last of all, they've included a pocket clip on the tool, which of course makes it so that you can quickly put that thing away. Don't lose your tool. Keep it handy, keep it in your pocket. That is very, very useful, and I'm glad they included it on the tool. Now, many of Leatherman's other tools have a lot of these same features and are certainly adequate for heading out into the outdoors and kind of having as a tool in your kit for survival. However, what the Signal does is it brings together all those things that one would really need in a survival situation and packages them all into one tool, and I really, really like that. Now let's do a size and weight comparison of the Signal against a handful of other great Leatherman tools. The first thing we see right off the bat is that the Signal and the Charge AL are fairly close in size. If you look at them side to side like this, you will see that the Charge is fairly thicker than the Signal is in most ways. It is also quite a bit heavier. Well, not a lot heavier, but noticeably heavier. At about 8.3 ounces, the Charge AL is a little bit heavier than the Signal, which is 7.5 ounces. But you do see also that the Signal comes in a little bit longer due to that carabiner / hammer that is included as part of the frame. Moving on, we'll compare it also to the Leatherman Mut, which is a much heavier tool, coming in at 11.2 ounces, once again, versus 7.5 for the Signal. So that is really noticeable, the weight difference there. You do see, of course, that it has the same hammer. Well, they're not the same. As you can see there, they're a bit different, but they are both integrated into the frame of the tool. And you do see a good size disparity there, with the Mut being fairly larger and fairly thicker as well. Once again, the Mut fitting into more of a full or heavy-duty size category. Moving on to sort of the pocket size, here we have the Juice CS4. This is the older model. And this one comes in at roughly 5.6 ounces. So fairly lighter than the Signal is. You can see that the width is somewhat comparable, although the CS4 looks a little bit chunkier in some ways than the Signal. Maybe that's just because the elongated tool in the Signal seems a bit, kind of thinner. But you're definitely saving some weight by going with the Juice model, which once again is a good pocket size, and for me has been a great backpacking go-to multi-tool up to this point, because it is a great weight and it has some great tools on it. Not the least of which are the, let's see, where is it on here? Right here. Yes, the saw, which I think is a great backpacking or outdoors necessity. And so having that saw on there is very nice. None of these tools are locking, of course, which is one great big thing that the Signal has in favor of it versus the Juice. We didn't really open up any of these other tools. We might as well do that. So you can see them in sort of their open configuration against the Signal. I didn't mention also that the Mut does have the replaceable 154 cm hard wire cutters on it, just like the Signal does. However, the Signal is sort of that scaled down version of it. Then, of course, the Squirt Ps4, which is my pocket carry. I like to carry this one every single day. It's also a great keychain multi-tool. Easy to slip onto your keychain right there. And here's how it looks opened up. It is spring-loaded, of course. None of these other ones are. And the Ps4 comes in at a tiny 1.6 ounces. Obviously, very small compared to the Signal. Really, I consider this to be a backup or pocket-sized multi-tool, one that you can have on you all the time. And whether it be in a backpacking or outdoor scenario, I would probably have both this and this, just because this one's so easy to carry. But there's a little bit of a comparison, certainly not completely comprehensive. There are a lot of other tools that are available from Leatherman, but this covers a good variety of what they offer, and I'd say that the Signal stacks up pretty well against them. So in conclusion, and as I said at the beginning of the video, I really feel like it's about time that somebody came out with a real purpose-built survival multi-tool, and Leatherman has done it. This is a great multi-tool. Sure, the little pieces on here, like that fire starter, is not as robust as a full-size one you might have. Same goes with the sharpener, the knife, the saw, and everything else. But the point is, you have all your bases minimally covered in a really small, really carryable package, and it's a huge upgrade from just about every other model they have out there as far as the backpacking and outdoor needs are concerned. So I definitely recommend the Leatherman Signal. It is a little bit pricier than some of those other models out there, but with the capabilities you get, I think it's worth it. I'm a late Boy Scout, thanks for watching.
Okay, first night at the Yukon Outfitters. Hammock and tarp. Spent the night here using a 0 degree bag. Bundled up pretty nicely underneath.